So let's get into the top 10 here a little bit. I put them in order from 10 to 1, with 1 being what I consider to be the most important. There's always room for discussion on the sequence, and I'm sure in some cases there's a few things I could probably put together a top 50 list, but we got to start somewhere. So we'll start with the top 10. Number 7. Let's keep going. System training versus software training. There is a difference here, and system training, the way that we define it, integrates the training on the processes with keystroke training for the software. Probably the biggest error we see people making when they do system implementations or upgrades is that they focus on keystroke training. Okay, I'm going to teach the maintenance guys on how to use the system, and we go through and show how to do a keystroke type of thing. And while that piece is important, I have to know how to do various things within the system. It's much more important to understand why I need to do these things. Quite often that type of thing is left out, and the integrated system training answers the why and then says, now that you understand the why, and now I'm going to show you the how, is basically what we're doing here. So we want to make sure that that brings together the understanding of why people need to do something, what part of the whole they are, so where their steps in this particular process fit into the overall scheme of things, why they're important, why they're in that piece of the process, and also what the information, the ins and the outs of their part of the process. Where's the information coming from that they're doing something with? And when they're done, where is it going and how is it going to be used? If people understand all of that, again, you now typically get a much more effective user, because now they understand why, what it is you want me to do, as well as the how to do it in the system. We typically focus on really using role-based training in order to go into detail of what's expected of the various roles. I've listed a few under here. I want to train my planners as a separate role. Now, I might do general training when I am doing some introductory keystroke general functionality type of things, but I want to spend quite a bit of time with planners on how to use the system. What are my expectations? What do I expect you to do? But that probably requires some training in what I expect the role of the planner to be. It's a perfect time to integrate those two. Improve their basic skills from planning in general. I don't care whether they were going to do it on a piece of paper. Improve that while you're now showing them the new tools that you want them to use. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm thinking about here. The other part of the statement is that training shouldn't stop after the initial implementation. If you've got people using your system that haven't had any training in, say, the last year or year and a half, even if it's, remember I mentioned that advanced system training in a slide or two back, even your advanced users, if you haven't given them some food for thought, no, you're only using 40 to 50% of your system, you've got an opportunity here. If we can introduce new functionality to them, getting them to use some of that new functionality, we're now going to find our CMMS starts to become that invaluable tool, that central repository for our information. So don't leave your experienced users out of the mix here. And that goes a little, again, ties to the long-term planning. So we want to have those long-term, training touches called out in advance. How are we going to keep people in tune to the system over 2, 3, 4, or 5 years? So hopefully there's a couple pieces to think about there. But again, I think it does coming to think of that implementation as the beginning of a long-term journey. Hopefully you found this interesting, some helpful points and comments, and if anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.